It's night at Serendip. We're prowling around through the opening credits as well as the corridors of the nuclear design facility. We creep around quietly until...
Yeah! Charlie 1907. Scared the hell out of me, Mouse. Are you supposed to be patrolling in the biomedical wing? Nice talking to you, too.
Rover got an upgrade and a new job, but he can't talk anymore. An alarm goes off.
There's been some kind of explosion in the nuclear design lab. Radiation? Look, hold.
Check the seals. Make sure the airlocks are secured and functioning. Contained, we're okay. If not, we have a Code L long condition.
Somebody on the other end knows what that means. At the Batcave, Austin has summoned Mickey on the double. She's not sure why. She was in the middle of a date.
That's a new dress.
You like it?
Yeah, the material's fire resistant. Good. And I like the way the color washes out the pigment in your eyes.
Thanks. I think.
How well do you know this guy?
Now, Daddy, I'm all growed up. We don't ask those kinds of questions anymore. She met him at the park. He was so eager to ask her out, he pretended to sprain an ankle to get her attention. Austin says, so the whole thing started out with a lie. He finds a hair on her dress, examines it, and says, by the way, he'll be bald in 10 years. Before Mickey can pursue that line of thought much further, Alex calls. It sounds urgent.
Patch it in. I'm right here, Howard.
Austin, thank God. Get down here fast. There's been an accident.
He and Mickey get down there, and Howard is trying to handle the media.
How long has this been going on, nuclear materials Serendip?
A year, maybe longer. It was an experiment passed by the board. It needed a good-sized atomic pile.
You were building a bomb?
Absolutely not. If it's any of your business. Who is this girl?
The secretary you said I needed.
She arrived with Austin. She's standing next to him, and he didn't contradict her. Maybe she's somebody you should listen to since he does. Austin says, I'm going in. So are you. Howard protests, but he doesn't have much choice. In radiation suits and armed with a Geiger counter, they go in to assess the damage. Howard says they were trying to develop a new energy source. But was it the kind that provides energy to run my computer, or the kind of energy that appears all at once with very noisy results?
On the floor, left of the desk. Oh, my God. Who is it? I think it's Brian Kingsley.
All indicators that they can see confirm his identity, and he spent a lot of time down here. This was his pet project. He's going to be spending a lot more time with it, because nobody can get into that room for at least the next 10,000 years. He may not keep that long.
I want to see the design of the pile's cooling system, the engineer's plans. Takes a minor nuclear disaster to bring the president down to the office. Take it easy, Harry. If this is where the blaming process starts, let's do it right. Let's look at the plans.
A man is dead on his watch, and he's taking pot shots at Austin. Fire this guy now. At the warehouse, Austin is trying to figure out how this could have happened. A cooling system shutdown led to a thermal explosion, which led to this whole mess.
Exploded? Like an atom bomb?
No, it was a thermal explosion. The container blew up. Right now, the stuff's still in there, slowly eating its way through the building.
Who or what caused the cooling system to shut down?
Massive circuit burnout in one of the conduits.
And what caused that?
Power surge in the main line.
And what caused that?
Program failure in an in-house unit.
Job been removed.
Probably a programmer's error.
That's it?
Probably a programmer's error, which means anyone with a knowledge of programming could have put the error in intentionally.
Next day, Austin is presenting his thoughts to Harold and Howard when a lady from the insurance company comes in. Howard says, thanks for being so quick. We'll take the check anytime.
There's a hold on that, Mr. Millhouse, until the investigation is complete.
Investigation?
Well, there are some unusual circumstances.
What circumstances?
6 days ago, Mr. Kingsley took out a $2.5 million life insurance policy from our company.
And you suspect?
Suicide. Looks like a textbook case.
To make matters even fuzzier, the beneficiary wasn't his wife. It was his live-in, super-hot housekeeper. She must have done an amazing job on his windows. Austin and Mickey visit the housekeeper and discover she was replaced the day before. Posing as funeral directors, they worm their way in and examine Brian Kingsley's personal effects.
Can I help you? The housekeeper said the undertakers were stealing one of Mr. Kingsley's suits. I'm Liz Layton.
I'll have to write you a check.
No, we were just looking for some personal effects of Mr. Kingsley for the funeral service. Things with special meaning.
I'd be very interested in any ideas that you may have.
Yes, I guess I might. I knew Mr. Kingsley almost 7 months.
Fun fact, her name is Catherine Moffat, and her first TV acting job was working with Parker Stevenson in an episode of the Hardy Boys Mysteries. She gives them some tips about clothes for the funeral, then says, "The missus won't mind if you take these. Last night while he was dying, she was out on a date." Austin notices that Kingsley's shoes are all new and pristine, whereas the shoes on the man in the hot room looked old and worn. He wants another look at those legs before they get buried in concrete. Plus, he wants to do a spectroscopic analysis of the elements in the room.
Points almost 3 density ethyl alcohol in what appears to be great concentrate.
Sounds like bad punch from a fraternity toga party.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
It's cheap wine, which doesn't go well at all with sunflower seeds in herb tea.
Kingsley was a health nut. No way he'd get blitzed on cheap wine. Mickey had asked if Austin thought those were somebody else's shoes in there. No, they're Kingsley's shoes. They just have someone else's feet in them. The next day, the insurance lady is presenting a check for $20 million to Serendip. Howard called the feds, and they kind of leaned on the company about keeping this nuclear thing quiet.
As you know, Quantum also provided life insurance for Serendip executives. Following the wishes of Brian Kingsley, we'd like to present this check for $2.5 million to his dear friend, Miss Liz Layton.
I hate to throw a monkey wrench into your plans, honey, but you're up a gold digger's creek without a paddle. And without a check. Austin James says my husband isn't dead.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Kingsley, but that's not what I said. What I said was the dead man in the NDL is not Brian Kingsley.
Here's an idea. Tear up that check, and once it's all sorted out, write a new one. There's a way to prove whether the body in there is Brian Kingsley or not. Send that robot in. I think we were all telling him to do that half an hour ago. But the body is in a spot that the robot can't get to, so they'll have to depend on some creative camera angles to get a look. Austin sends it in.
The transmission. What happened?
Could be the antenna has caught on the latch mechanism. There should be enough clearance.
Nobody's going to give it another thought. He maneuvers the camera into position.
Brian.
Your credibility continues to suffer here, Mr. President.
Well, that wasn't what Austin expected to see. As he and Mickey are driving away, they have a discussion about tea that triggers something. Austin says, "Turn around. It really isn't Brian Kingsley in that room, and I can prove it."
You almost pulled it off.
The mystery person leaves, but sets the door controls to open the inner door once he's clear. The inner door leads to where the radiation disaster is. A couple of minutes of exposure, and Austin James is dead. He wakes up just as the door starts to open. He can't hold it back, but without warning, it closes on its own.
Boy, am I glad to see you. You just saved my life.
It was about to open the door and expose him again. Why would it do that? Well, somebody messed with its programming. After a good scrubbing down to decontaminate him, it's time for Austin to lay it out.
Lucky the mouse showed up.
Wasn't luck. Cheap design. That robot? Cheap? It reads its orders in a loop unless specifically instructed otherwise. When I programmed the mouse to take the video camera into the lab, I was in effect telling it to repeat the maneuver endlessly.
That's cheap programming, all right. I haven't written a program in 25 years, and I know how to avoid that. Austin says, "The man who hit me was wearing new shoes. I heard them squeak. And they belong to Brian Kingsley, who we know is a nut about new shoes. He's alive, but we saw him dead on the floor, didn't we?"
That looks like Kingsley to me. It is. But here's what I want you to see. The teacup is full. But when I went back to the lab window, the teacup clearly was not full. Almost 1/4 has evaporated.
That couldn't happen in the time between when they sent the mouse in and when Austin went back. They were watching a videotape that Kingsley made earlier. That glitch in the video they saw, that was him switching the feed over from the camera to his tape. Not only is he alive, he's in the building. He's been here all along. Let's go find him.
The lair.
This is where Kingsley's been hiding. Juice, sunflower seeds.
But we're too late. The bird has flown.
No, somebody would have seen him.
Not if he went out the same way he got the wino in, which is...
You're giving me that look again. How should I know? Registered mail?
That's a very good question. How did he get his anonymous victim in? He had to have help. Austin has an idea about that, but he's not ready to say it out loud yet. I have a hunch we all know what he's thinking.
He couldn't have gotten out. Everybody's watching. He's out or on his way. How? Same way he got his surrogate lab replacement in without anyone seeing. By making it obvious. By making you sign for it.
He brought his victim into the facility in the shipping crate. He's getting out the same way, except he's not on that truck. He left on an earlier one. That truck just overheated and had to pull off to the side of the road.
Get the Teledyne dispatcher's office and tell them to hold that truck. Hey, buddy, you need a hand? Me? Thanks. No, I got the company wagon coming. They pay me just the same.
You knew that was going to happen as soon as you saw that other truck. Mickey calls dispatch and they say he just called in. He's behind you. Austin turns everybody around to go back and try to figure out how they missed it. The other truck goes on its way and suddenly, by gum, there he is.
I think we got it. Help me with it.
Mr. Kingsley.
Yes.
Jen.
Looks like he was strangled.
Loops. You have to close the loops.
Austin knows the whole story now. Kingsley was too squeamish to kill anyone himself, so he enlisted the perfect accomplice. But that accomplice turned around and killed him. Let's see who it is.
Kingsley smuggled his victim into Serendip alive. Once inside, the robot killed him. Kingsley had programmed it to strangle anyone found hiding in an Teledyne crate. But then he made a mistake. When it was time for him to escape Serendip, Kingsley went back to the robot for help. He needed it to seal the crate and make it look authentic. But he forgot to remove the killer program. And as I found out in the airlock, the robot repeats its instructions endlessly.
Oh boy. Austin demonstrates.
Austin!
Command override, Charlie 135.
Kingsley didn't realize what was happening until it was too late and he couldn't spit the code out in time. Nice talking to you. He murdered a man and accomplished nothing except to create an environmental disaster and get his own self killed. On the other hand, his girlfriend said she's buying a Greek island with the insurance money, so somebody came out okay. And Austin James's reputation is still intact, which is what's really important. Just ask him.